Welcome back! My name is BALLERSCUBA. This is Video Games Over Time. We are still in 1981, and today we're going to talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark. Our story starts back in 1973. George Lucas had just finished working on American Graffiti. Lucas saw an old movie poster of a character leaping from a horse to a truck. That reminded him of the serials he saw as a child. In particular, he enjoyed Buck Rogers, ZORRO'S Fighting Legion, Spy Smasher, and Don Winslow of the Navy. Lucas wanted to make a film based on those serials, so he created The Adventures of Indiana Smith. Named after his dog, Indiana Smith was an archaeologist that went on adventures. However, Lucas decided to put off further work on The Adventures of Indiana Smith while he focused on a space opera idea, which became Star Wars. In 1975, Lucas returned to the project and worked on a script with Philip Kaufman. Lucas based the character on real-life archaeologist HIRAM Bingham III, who found and revealed the existence of Machu Picchu in 1911, Roy Chapman Andrews, who traveled through China and Mongolia, finding the first known fossilized dinosaur eggs, and Leonard Woolley, who led expeditions in the ancient city of Ur. Lucas wanted the character to be a college professor and an adventurous archaeologist. He also wanted Indiana Smith to be a womanizer, but Philip Kaufman fought against it. It was Kaufman that decided on the central goal of the film. Lucas wanted Kaufman to direct the film, but Kaufman had already committed to working on the outlaw Josie Wales, so the project was shelved again. In May 1977, while on vacation to avoid the premiere of Star Wars, Lucas pitched the film to Steven Spielberg, asking him to direct if Philip Kaufman could not direct it. Kaufman could not, and Spielberg agreed to join the project. Spielberg needed to find a writer for the film. He found Lawrence Kasdan, who had helped Spielberg with the script for a film named Continental Divide. Impressed with the script, Lucas agreed and the three men outlined the film together. Spielberg hated the name Indiana Smith, and the name was changed to Indiana Jones. George Lucas wanted the character to be based on actors Clint Eastwood and Toshiro Mifune, as well as James Bond. He wanted Indiana Jones to use kung fu and use the spoils of his adventures to fund his womanizing habits, but both Spielberg and Kasdan felt that that was too much for the character. Spielberg wanted to make the character a gambler or an alcoholic to give him some flaws. Lucas disliked these ideas, wanting a character the audience could idolize, but agreed that the character should be relatable. Several iconic scenes came out of these discussions between the three men. They also created the character of Marion, named after Kasdan's wife's grandmother. She became the love interest for the film, although the men disagreed on just how young Marion should be, with Lucas suggesting she be as young as 11 when she had an affair with the main character. This would not make the final script. Steven Spielberg began directing on the film 1941, so Lawrence Kasdan worked on the script by himself, filling in the gaps between the scenes that had already been written. Kasdan was able to complete his first draft after around 5 months, in August 1978. Kasdan delivered the script to George Lucas, who then asked Kasdan to help with the script for The Empire Strikes Back, which we talked about in a previous video. The first draft was seen as too long, so several scenes were cut, some jokes were removed, and the love story was trimmed. This revised script was completed by December 1979. Funding the film proved to be difficult. Lucas wanted to fund the film himself, but was short on cash. So he reached out to studios with an offer to fund the project as long as the studio had no creative input and would allow him to keep licensing and sequel rights. On top of that, Although Steven Spielberg was seen as a good director, he had a reputation of going over budget and not finishing on schedule. His most recent film, 1941, proved to be not only over budget, but a commercial failure as well. Paramount Pictures president Michael Eisner was able to negotiate a deal for the film, agreeing to the terms if Paramount received exclusive rights to make any sequels and placed penalties on the filmmakers should they not be able to stick to the schedule and the budget. The actual amounts given to Lucas and Spielberg, however, are not clear. Lucas and Spielberg took several precautions to make sure they would not be penalized, hiring people who would keep them to the schedule and the budget strictly. The film was extensively storyboarded, and several miniature sets were built in order to set up the shots before filming began. When it came to casting the main character, George Lucas wanted to cast a relatively unknown actor who would commit to a trilogy of films. The leading candidate initially was Tom Selleck. However, Tom Selleck had already filmed the pilot episode of Magnum P.I. and was obligated to film the series should it be greenlit. When CBS heard that Tom Selleck could be lost, they greenlit Magnum P.I., and Tom Selleck could not do the film. So the role went to Harrison Ford, who agreed to the deal. Ford would receive a 7-figure salary, a percentage of the gross profits, and the rights to rework his character's dialogue. Ford then underwent extensive training to get into the proper condition, as well as to learn to use a bullwhip, the signature weapon of Indiana Jones. Principal photography started on June 23, 1980. Because the script was still not fully finalized and the schedule was tight, much of the film contains improvisation by the actors and crew. Filming concluded after 73 days in September 1980. George Lucas said this film had the least problems due to the lack of studio interference. George Lucas's visual effects company, Industrial Light and Magic, worked on the film's special effects. John Williams, who had worked on Jaws and the Star Wars franchise, composed the music for the film. After filming, Steven Spielberg's initial cut of the film was close to 3 hours. After further editing, the film was cut to just 115 minutes. The film industry was seen as being in decline in 1981, and attention for the film was low before its release. Raiders of the Lost Ark received a wide release on June 12, 1981 in over 1,000 theaters. It earned $8.3 million in its opening weekend, over $23.7 million in 2021, becoming the #1 film that weekend, much to everyone's surprise. The film would stay in theaters in its initial run until March 18, 1982, earning $354 million worldwide, over $1 billion in 2021. The film would be re-released in July 1982 and March 1983. In total, the film would gross $389.9 million at the box office. 1981 would set new box office records, with Raiders of the Lost Ark helping revitalize the film industry as a whole. Raiders of the Lost Ark would become one of the 4 highest grossing films to date, with The Empire Strikes Back, Jaws, and Star Wars. All 4 films were created by Lucas and Spielberg. Raiders of the Lost Ark was also well received by critics. The critics praised the sense of adventure, the humor, and the suspense. One downside listed was the film's reliance on nostalgia and rehashing of the older serials. Raiders of the Lost Ark would receive 5 Academy Awards in 1982 for Best Film Editing, Best Production Design, Best Sound Editing, and Best Visual Effects. The film was nominated for 4 additional awards for Best Picture, Best Cinematography, Best Director, and Best Original Score. It is no wonder that Raiders of the Lost Ark is considered one of the best films ever made. Raiders of the Lost Ark would inspire creators in film, television, comics, and of course, video games. We will continue to track the progress of the franchise as we continue, as it is one that is integral to the history of video games. So now it's time to talk about the plot of Raiders of the Lost Ark. If you have not seen the film and do not want its plot spoiled, now would be the time to stop watching. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. The film starts in 1936, when American archaeologist Indiana Jones retrieves a golden idol from a temple in Peru. However, he is betrayed by his guides, and a rival archaeologist, Rene Belloc, along with an indigenous tribe, corner Indiana Jones and take the idol for themselves. Indiana Jones manages to escape in a seaplane. In America, 2 Army intelligence agents approach Jones and reveal that Nazis are excavating Tanis, Egypt, and they mention Jones's old mentor. Jones believes that the Nazis must be searching for the Ark of the Covenant, and Jones agrees to find the Ark first. Jones first travels to Nepal to get the headpiece to the Staff of Ra from his mentor, but discovers his mentor has died and that his mentor's daughter, Marion, who previously had an affair with Jones, now has the headpiece. Gestapo agent Arnold Todt meets Marion at her bar in an attempt to get the headpiece. The bar is set ablaze as a result. Todt attempts to grab the headpiece in the flames, but it burns his hand. Jones and Marion take the headpiece and escape. They go to Cairo, Egypt to meet Jones's friend Salah. There they find the rival archaeologist Belloc helping the Nazis thanks to a replica of the headpiece recreated from Todt's burns. The Nazis attack Marion and Jones, and Marion appears to be killed. Jones confronts Belloc, then heads to an imam to decipher the headpiece. They discover that the Nazis are digging in the wrong spot. Jones and Salah sneak into the Nazi dig site and use the real headpiece to find the real resting place, the Well of Souls. They are able to find the Ark, but they're interrupted by the Nazis who take the Ark and throw Marion into the Well of Souls and seal it shut. Jones and Marion are able to escape and destroy the Nazis' means of escape. The Nazis then take the Ark by truck, but Jones catches them on horseback, hijacks the truck with the Ark, and tries to take it back to London by ship. The Nazis catch up in a U-boat and seize the Ark and Marion. Jones sneaks on board the U-boat as they go to an island in the Aegean Sea. Jones ambushes the Nazis there with a rocket launcher, but is forced to surrender. The Nazis take Jones and Marion to a site where they plan to open the Ark. Jones tells Marion to close her eyes and not look at the Ark. When the Nazis open the Ark, spirits emerge with flames and bolts of energy. The Nazis are killed before the spirits go back into the Ark and the chest is sealed. When Jones and Marion open their eyes, the bodies have been cleared and their bindings have been removed. Back in Washington, D.C., Jones is paid by the government for securing the Ark, and Jones is told that the Ark has been moved for study by top men. We then see the Ark put into a crate and moved into storage among an endless supply of crates in a large warehouse. And that is the story of Raiders of the Lost Ark. As we have hinted at before, this will not be the last time that we see Indiana Jones on film. We will track the franchise as we continue. And that will do it for the story of Raiders of the Lost Ark for now. My name is BALLERSCUBA. This has been Video Games Over Time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in our next video where we'll turn things on their side.